stream as the only one that is challenging, and frankly, it is regularly challenging. So yeah. Anyway, I think might get it sorted. We'll see.
We'll see. Good luck with that.
Yes.
So, Barry and I are wondering today, do you have trouble giving compliments? Do you have trouble receiving compliments? It can be a real challenge in the dating world for sure, and in your world in general. So we're going to talk about how to give and accept compliments today. And we're on the new streamingnetwork.com, WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet singles talk radio, and Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine. Finally.
Finally. The internet was not Barry's friend today.
Mm-mm.
At least StreamYard on the internet.
Yes. I'm not going to out them on public display, though.
So I think it'll be good. We can talk about the kind of ways to give compliments, the ways to receive compliments. We can talk about the kind of compliments that men and women tend to like, and maybe some that we don't prefer, especially in the very beginning. Because once you learn how to give a compliment, it'd be good to know the ones to maybe steer clear of, certainly in the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. The challenge is the euphoria that can occur early on in a relationship, the honeymoon phase of being when you're dating. You can start saying things which are complimentary, but may not be appropriate in the timing. So compliments definitely have their time and place. Yeah. And we definitely will talk about how some people don't even let them in when it happens, because that's another part of the challenge as well, for whatever reasons. And sometimes some people are so, I won't say closed off, but maybe not so effusive that they don't give compliments very easily too. So we're going to cover a few different aspects of this conversation today, for sure.
For sure. And if you've heard us talk about the 5 love languages before, it's always been words of appreciation person. It's my first one. My others have moved around. That has never changed. So I like getting them, and I'm really good at giving them. And not everybody is. Not everybody likes them. Not everybody's good at receiving them. Not everybody is good at giving them. And one of the big disconnects we have also talked about, Barry and I, is women can be so bad at receiving compliments for a whole bunch of reasons. For real, they feel self-confident. Real, they don't believe the thing that you said to them. And real, that they were taught, no, don't stand out. Don't be too big. Put it a little to the side. So when a man really has this nice compliment about, wow, I really like what you're wearing, and we'll go, oh, it was on sale and we found it at the thrift store. And with a woman, if we're talking to a woman, she'll go, oh, wow, you got a good deal. And oh, you're not too big for your britches. And it's a really good way for us to interact with each other, we think.
Yeah.
We accept it better from another woman. And what you just did is you told the guy he's a liar, which is so sad, because it's not what he meant to do at all, and not what he really did. And you didn't even think he was being a liar, but what your word said was he was lying, huh?
Yeah. This is one of those corners, and I think in a way for some men, I think, do have the same experience where they don't take compliments very well either. I know one of mine has definitely been, I remember when, especially years ago, not so much now, but people want to say like how great they thought of me or whatever I was doing so great. And by me, like, there's always the underlying thing in my head going, but if you only knew me really well, you wouldn't think that, that sort of idea. Because there was a whole self-worth thing. Because one of the things with compliments is it can really play on our own levels of self-worth. For some people, it's ego-based, in which case you give them a compliment, they're going to lap it up and be like, give me more, give me more. But it's not going in anywhere. It's like shoe polish. It's not going in. It's not going in. It's not like oils that go into the skin. I don't mind this analogy. They're going into like the leather, such on the surface. So sometimes compliments don't really land as much as they sort of bounce off. And it bounces off for different reasons. Again, like I said, because some people, I know for myself, like to receive compliments was very hard for me. So I would deflect as often as I could, which is they bounce off. And some people look at compliments as being gravy, but they don't actually take them in terms of valuing what's been said about them and take it to heart, which is different for you. Like, just to switch back for a second on the 5 love languages, words of affirmation is not one of my top 2. So it's not naturally one of my natural gifts. Quality time and physical touch are my two primary ones, which don't need any words. So it's not something I naturally tend to do, and it is something I've practiced at. And that's the thing about compliments, is you can get more practiced at giving them, which is kind of a good skill to develop.
I love all the points you made, because what I've learned, me personally, since I really like words of appreciation, I needed to get over the not letting them in. And what I learned about me personally, and now see in my clients, is we can only receive as much as we believe. So wherever we are on the scale of the thing you're complimenting us about, if we only think we're 50% of what you're saying, or 20%, no, you could give us 100% and we can really only receive, which is why it doesn't go in much. And we don't know what to do with all the rest of it. I mean, if it's only 20%, there's this 80% and it's too much and I don't know what to do with it. So I need to deflect it.
Yeah.
And I love the analogy between the shoe polish and the moisturizer. I'm a girl, I could so relate to that. I never thought about it, that the shoe polish, there's conditioner that goes in, which I do with my boots, but the polish really is a surface thing. You just made my mind go, wow, I really like that.
You're very welcome.
So yeah, you could be really good at giving compliments, and if the person isn't available to receive it, it's not your fault.
Exactly.
Because when a guy says, oh, does she think I'm lying? Does she think I'm not being truthful? Because you want to be trusted. It's not you, hon. In this very specific instance that we're talking about, it's that she has no room for that. So what I teach women, first, building up your own self-confidence is really good. And when you have that inclination to deflect, I need you to stop and just say thank you. Because it does two things. It says, I trust that you really meant that, and thank you. And if I say thank you, you're probably going to do it again. And we listen to those words and go, oh, it might be true. Maybe that's going to help me with my self-confidence, even though it's our job to build it up ourselves. If you could let in a little from the outside, it really will help as well. I found that if people just stop doing the other thing and start saying thank you, they start feeling a teeny bit better, which encourages them to now even more encouraged to do the work on themselves.
Because part of this, as you said that, what I really thought about is some people also feel like there may be an ulterior motive. They don't trust it. So when somebody compliments them, there's this filter it's got to go through where they're going to basically look at it and go, is this really authentically a compliment without strings attached? Or are they saying it to get something back? So I don't know if I should trust it or not, because I'm sure a lot of women and men too have been, the phrase came up, fed a line of, complimentary wording just to get in your good book so you can get something from you. So the thing about taking the compliment in is a key thing, but the recognition is that if you can take it in and in your own imagination, like cut off any ties that might be connected to it, so you're not feeling like you're going to have to do something back in return, you're not feeling responsible or you owe them anything. Because the thing about compliments is a compliment is supposedly freely given without any strings attached, without any judgment, without any quid pro quo involved. It's meant to be, it's just given as a compliment, and it is what it is. And so as a recipient of that, like you said, to simply receive it at its own merits and take it in without having a thought like I have to do something in return is a very healthy choice to make.
And it's a skill you and I teach. Because I'll say thank you to anybody, even if my radar says, oh, that's a bunch of bunk. I'm happy to get a compliment, even if it's a bunch of bunk. Thanks. I'll say thanks. And then I know to just watch. Is this really sincere? Is it that they don't want anything back? They're not doing this for any ulterior motives? I watch that. I'll still say thanks. I never don't say thanks if they make it sound at least sincere. I'll say thank you. And then watching. Oh, Barry, that's such an important point for sure. But men don't know what to say because we're going to dismiss it a lot, right?
Well, the challenge also for us men is that we tend, because we are visually oriented, is we're getting somewhat tied to visual reference points to be complimentary. And it's challenging because it's so tempting to say things we want to say, but we know we're going to get misconstrued as being sexually oriented and explicit and over the top and everything else. Whereas, like, we say things like, I mean, from one of my favorite things about a woman is how she carries herself, which is, yes, it's very sexy, but it's not a sexual comment. Because a woman who is grounded in who she is very attractive to me when she really owns and honors who she is. That's not to say that I'm thinking sexual thoughts about her. I might be, but I'm not intending to do that. But what I'm saying is something that when I'm attempting to say things are complimentary, but saying, well, you know, how your figure shit is like, that's not appropriate. You know, it's like, if you're beautiful, that can be a throwaway line. But to say something that is descriptive, that is unusual, and that lands, can be such a gift to give someone, male or female, because it can change their perspective on the day, it can lift their spirits. It can be maybe the one thing they need to hear that changes the whole perspective that day. So how you give your compliments, not just throwing out stuff, but when you say something really from the heart that's really authentic, can change somebody's life.
Absolutely. Just make our day, just lift us up. So I would like that compliment. Wow, I just noticed you walked in the room and you looked like you just could own it. You look like you really belonged here. You look like you were in charge of yourself. I would love that. I'm not everybody would. I would think that would be a really lovely compliment. That would be something I go, yeah, I am that. And maybe I was even having an off day and wow, thanks for noticing. I'm making a big effort to be that today. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it's awkward because you notice our physicality, our attitude, our energy. You're always looking at the whole picture. Yes, men have their things they like best about us. There's men that have very specific body parts that they are more enamored with.
Very true.
And yet you're very good at taking in the whole picture. And so saying something about the whole picture. One of the things I teach men is one of the ways to sort of get into one of those tight-knit groups of women when we're huddled around each other and there's hardly a break for you to get in. If you stand near us and say, that was such a good point. Wow, that was a really interesting thought. Could you tell me more about that? I'm really interested that you're complimenting us on our mind, on our vocabulary, in the way that we put it together, which most women would be really happy to get that compliment. And it doesn't feel anything physical when you say that. You're complimenting us on our brains. And we like that generally.
Well, the thing is, and to underscore that, is that for those men listening who don't know this, women are extremely tuned in and sensitive. They notice things very much more effectively than we do, frankly. So when we're giving compliments that are, as I said earlier, strings attached, that are agenda driven, it's going to be very rare she doesn't notice that. So if you're going to give a compliment that isn't genuine, that isn't authentic, isn't aligned, maybe you should think better of it, not do that. Because the reality is, if you're giving compliments because you want to give the compliments, awesome, wonderful, that's going to be received, it's going to land, and she's going to hopefully take it to heart. But giving the compliments because you want something in return, that you're after something, you want to, whether you want to get in her pants or you want to just get a favor from her, it's still got hooks in it that basically she will notice and feel. And frankly, that compliment will be land very uncomfortably for her. So as us men especially, is when you give compliments, make sure they're given as a complete, on it, a distinct package without anything attached to it. So we're not feeling like anything comes out of it. If she wants to give something back to us, awesome, wonderful. But we're not doing it for that reason. And that's a clean way of doing it.
Yeah. Our physical, emotional, mental safety is always in the front of our brain. So when you approach us and say something that at least leaves you neutral, doesn't make us feel unsafe, which is generally anything about our physicality. Anything about our physicality will put us on alert. It just does. No matter how wonderfully clean your intentions were, don't do it. Just don't do it. Certainly not in the beginning. Even if she would eventually like that, why chance it? Because the majority of us prefer no thank you. We would like you to compliment us on something else that we said, that we did, our attitude. something that doesn't have to do with certainly a body part.
Right.
It's very uncomfortable for us. You would love us to talk about your muscles and, your physique. You would have no trouble with us complimenting you on part of your physique. It might lead you to think we're thinking more, but
Right.
you wouldn't have any safety, uncomfortable stuff
Exactly.
about it.
Yeah.
Which is why you don't know we do. So that's why it's so important to know we do. And our radar goes up and all the friends around us go up. And now you're at a negative and it's too hard to come back from a negative. Why even go there?
It's almost impossible to come back from that, to be honest. So yeah, not a good thing to do. And I've made mistakes like that myself in the past. So I know the pain and the chagrin of like crossing that line and going, I can't cross back. It's like I need to get back away and just that one's over, dead. Don't even try it. Yeah, it's one of those challenges about compliments that are so obvious in hindsight, but sometimes in the moment we think we're doing the right thing, and then we just go, I should not have done that. It's like just take the words back and put it back in the mouth and forget I said anything.
Yeah, there's been a few men that when I first start coaching them, they say, not only did I put my foot in my mouth, I sat down and shoved the other one in. I don't want to ever do that again. It's so fun when you guys call yourselves out about it.
It's one of those things that is sometimes very clean in hindsight. Like 20/20 hindsight's a great skill to have. It's not as good as having 20/20 foresight, but it's a good start. But the thing is, the recognition that, first of all, if we own up to our mistake, if we realize we've done it and we say something, that can also be a saving grace. Because the thing is, if we said something that we had a hook attached to, we didn't realize it until we already said it, but we catch ourselves as soon as we did and say, whoa, hang on a second, sorry, I didn't mean to have those hooks attached to that. The honesty can be transformative as well.
Yeah, a woman that's not overly sensitive for whatever it is you said, who's like, well, in her head, well, that was kind of a jerky thing to say. If you said, wow, that was a really jerky thing to say, could I take it back and reframe it? You've a 50-50 chance she'll let you try to fix it.
Yeah.
But if you touch on a place that we're already sensitive about, please just go to the other side of the room. It's not a good for either one of you. Nothing can get fixed. And but now because now you learned. Yeah, I'm not going to say that again. What would I say instead? And often it's because you're nervous or you think we're really cute, and it's generally never malice. There's never any
malicious.
Most of the time. There's just not. I mean, there's some bad guys out there. There's so few. You're so innocent. And when Alison Armstrong keeps saying, what if nobody's misbehaving? We could have a little grace on both sides. But there's, as you said, there's things you just can't come back from that person. You can just do better next time.
Absolutely. So speaking of next time, we're going to take a break in a moment and want to talk about more of this after the break. You want to mention about how people can reach you?
For sure. So if this is intriguing to you and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to learn more about this, you can have a personal private conversation with me. If you go to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com, scroll to the middle to the What's Holding You Back from Love questionnaire. Click on that. There's 10 brief questions. Where are you now? Where would you like to be? And then you can schedule a conversation with me at your convenience for free. You can also send me a personal private email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com.
There you go.
And how do they reach you, Barry?
Similarly to Christine, I have a website where you can reach me. So if you want to schedule a conversation with me on my website, there's a link at the top of the screen that says to book a chat with me. That takes you to my calendar with also a questionnaire, or I should say a form you fill out, which gives me some clarity of what you're looking for and what's going on. And then you get access to my calendar. You can find out more about where we can talk, and you can find out more about what I do, and also find out where you are and what you're looking for. And we can really get some clarity about what is next in your next steps and where you want to go. Similarly, also, you can drop me an email, send one to barry@barryselby.com. And if you have any questions, reach out to me and let's have a conversation.
Perfect. So we're going to go to commercial for our wonderful station that broadcasts our show. And then we'll come back with way more information on how to give and receive compliments.
See you in a moment.
Hello, we're back at Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry, and today we're talking about how to give and receive compliments.
Hmm.
And we've also been talking about things not to say that don't feel very
Yes.
complimentary to the other person.
Yeah, the thing is, this piece is important, and we have talked a lot about gender differences too, because the reality is, as men, we might think giving a compliment to a woman is the same as giving a compliment to another man, and it's not. And same as when women will give a compliment to a man, I think it's the way they give it to another woman. So recognizing when you're giving a compliment to the opposite sex, there tends to be different viewpoints and understandings you need to have when you do so. So you don't put your foot in your mouth or step on your own toes, so to speak. I know a lot of foot metaphors coming up today, but the understanding about how we can say things that land in the right way that we intended. And it is an interesting thing to recognize is, and you can do this with your friends too, or even, experience, look back at your own history. When you've said things, do things you say land the way you meant to send them? Because if you can start getting the clarity and understanding where you can align what you say and what you intend to say so they land in the same place, you're far ahead of the game.
Oh, the difference between your intention and the impact, it's just wild.
Oh, yeah.
So you made me think about a different angle, because I do a meetup on Mondays for singles in my area for 5 years. And one of the things I wanted it to do is I wanted men and women to show up, which happens every week. And it's close to even, which is unusual for a singles event. And the thing I've learned to say at the beginning, especially if there's new women attending, the guys like to tease each other. And how wonderful that you can watch it happen. And the thing that they've learned by being part of this, because most of them didn't know this, we generally don't like it. To us,
Right.
we're fine seeing that you do it with each other. And we're really, I say, I like that you make a point of not doing it to us. And I keep pointing out to the women, it's a choice. They choose not to do it because it's very affectionate. It's why guys often, they punch each other and they wrestle each other when they like each other and they're bonding and they're seeing, who's one up. It's part of the male character that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And learning until you know the woman better, error on the side of don't do that. Don't,
Yeah.
as my father used to call it, teasing on the square. That when you have to say something and afterwards you go, just kidding, you know that we didn't know that. So
Right.
don't do that. If when the words come out of your mouth, we're not going to know. If you say, I'm going to tell you something funny, or this is a joke, and you set it up ahead of time, I'm still not saying it's going to be 100% okay. At least we're warned.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, almost everybody wanted to put on their profile, I want somebody that's funny. I want somebody that makes me laugh. I want somebody that gets my sense of humor. And I'm here to tell you, everybody's way of doing that and receiving that is completely different. So if you don't say, this is the kind of humor I have, let's see if you like it, or this is how I like receiving humor, let's see if you like it, they were going to be back to a negative thing again. I've had 2 male clients that it was their way of going out and being single. And it was women were giving them their phone number. And then, oh my gosh, they don't answer the phone. I said, because they don't want to say no then, but it's not landing. This isn't
Right.
landing for them. And I want them to get to know you. This is too much for them in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard because it's your natural instinct. And it's not that you don't see women teasing each other. In fact, we can be pretty mean. You're just not allowed to participate. We're not allowed to do some of the things you do. And so in this way, it's kind of off the track of compliments, but it fits in the same arena that you're showing us you like us, that if you feel comfortable enough to tease us, it's supposed to be a compliment, and it doesn't land that way.
It is such an overt difference, but it's something we do forget about. The fact is because women and men receive things differently. And so understanding that what we think is one thing, but what women think is another thing, it should stop you in your tracks, frankly, because when you recognize that what you're about to do might not land the way you think it's going to land, it's so important. And so it can even be where you want to preamble it and say up front, it's like, this is the way I am normally. Is that okay with you? And if not, I'll change the way I am, and that's fine. But it's having that preemptive understanding that what you're walking into is not going to be just the way you think it's going to be. Something you need to learn about. And one of the biggest gifts, I think, in compliments we can give to a woman, she's changing direction slightly, but one of the biggest compliments we can give to a woman, I think women can give to men as well, is to not presume the person we're with is the same as our previous one. one of the most dangerous things we do in relationships, I work a lot of the time, is have her compare me to her ex-boyfriend. And so to have compliments that are much more in the moment, that are present to what's going on, and to make this a new conversation, a new paradigm, a new relationship, is so much more powerful and so much more healthy. And frankly, that's a way better compliment than anything you might say otherwise.
And a way that you could indicate this very important point that you brought up is to say, wow, I've never had anyone do it that way before, and I like it. Or you could say, I've experienced the other way, and I really like that you do it this way. Now, there's a very positive way that you're comparing them, rather than assuming that they're going to already know the right thing to do, or already assume they'll know the wrong thing to do. To point out that this man or the woman is making an effort to notice you're different and tell you what they like about it. That's a huge compliment to someone.
Right.
Because if you're choosing to be this way and they're saying, I like how you're being, especially if you've said, I really like this, and you make the effort to do it, then to say thank you is like double points, right?
Absolutely. Oh, it's transformational. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that the power of this isn't necessarily about, okay, I'm now going to compliment my friend or compliment my date. It's like, no, it's like, how do you present yourself, and how do you see them differently than in the past? Because ideally, if you're going into a new relationship, you're dating somebody new, it's going to be different and new from what it was before. And if that's the case, great. And the thing is, on the other side of things, if they remind you of your ex too much, you start talking about them that way, that's not complimentary. That's far from it. So watch what you're thinking about, as well as what you're saying to that person as well.
And if they're reminding you of your ex a lot, maybe you have a pattern and you really need to talk to Barry and I, right?
That was a different topic. We covered that one before in other shows.
The same kind of person keeps showing up and you don't like them.
Yep.
So coming up with sincere compliments to give, and then telling people, this is the kind of thing I like being complimented about. Oh, asking for compliments. Women especially are really bad at this. We think people should just know and say it, and they say nice things, but if it's not what you want to hear. So if you like being complimented about how you're being with your friends, or how you do your job, or how you speak so nicely to the people around you, say, I really like it when people compliment me about that, because I've really been working on it, or it's a really important part of me. Because if you teach people how to treat you and they don't, that's a really good telling thing that you don't want them in your life, that they don't care enough to do the thing you've asked. And it's helping you get even more solidified about, I like this, I'm going to ask for it, and then I'm going to like it even more that somebody gave it to me.
There's something, it's interesting, because there's a part of us that thinks that we don't want them to tell us how to do things, because we feel like we want to be spontaneous and we don't know that we're doing the right thing. But on the other hand, to actually have somebody give you the keys to the kingdom, so to speak, to give you the ways of saying things that will benefit them the most, it wouldn't be such a gift to give you. I think it's a wonderful thing to be given that opportunity.
Otherwise, we're all kind of stumbling around in the dark, and maybe we hit something that's good. Wouldn't it be nice to use the majority of your energy doing the thing that you see they like? And so then if I say, I really like this, and they do it, and so, would you like this too? I've been thinking about it. There's this other thing I was thinking. Would you like to be complimented about that? Or tell me more things that you like being complimented about. I mean, figuring out what you want first is so valuable in dating, and then asking for it in anything that you want. I mean, since Christine has to bring up sex and everything, if you can do it this way, you're going to certainly be able to ask for it in bed.
Yeah.
But it's something important to practice, that you are thinking about what you want, and then you're nicely saying, I'd like it if you did this for me. Like, I'm the one that says, I really like having my doors open all the time, every time. And I always say, thank you. I compliment you that you're making an effort in doing it. I want to give you a sincere compliment about it. Yeah. It's such a rough road for men and women, this arena. People think, oh, how hard is this going to be? I'm hoping they're seeing, oh, there's more to it.
Yeah. This is, it's funny, when you brought up sex bomb, he goes, okay, let me think about that one for a second. Because the thing is, it is
like what you're doing.
Well, that's the thing is, it transcends just first dates. I mean, this is a conversation that goes all the way through. It's including sex and everything else as well. And to compliment your partner, in bed is one of the things that maybe you think is easier to do than when it's outside, when you're on first date or doing something else. Having the complimentary mindset, like think about how do I see my partner in a great way so I can give them positive feedback, doesn't have a framework or a limit of where you can use it. So consider these topics about giving and accepting compliments as independent of circumstance. It's about anywhere and everywhere. And in fact, if you want to practice this, hint, hint, and you're not in a relationship, it's like, can you do this for the busboy or the shopkeeper or somebody else in traffic? Well, it's hard to do when the door windows are closed, but doing other places where you can practice compliments just to give yourself the opportunity to see how it feels to give a compliment without strings attached, just to simply do it because you want to. It's kind of like the thing about opening the doors. You mentioned that. I've said this before on the podcast too, where I love opening doors because that's in my nature. And when I get somebody who doesn't want me opening, because I think it's like when a woman turns around to me and says, I can do it myself, it doesn't stop me opening the doors. It just makes me realize some people don't receive it. Compliments are no different. So in the sense that when we give compliments and they're given as a gift because we love to do that, if you get to the space where compliments become a joy and a bonus that you just take with you wherever you go, it will change all your relationships, frankly, but also it will change how you feel about yourself, because you're feeling this euphoric, joyful place where you're giving uplifting, joyful things to other people that you can do because you can. And no strings attached.
Such a good point. It's such a reciprocity that when you notice and compliment something that somebody's doing in the world, that often when they're the people you were talking about, they don't get compliments about, wow, your shop is really pretty, or wow, it smells really good in here. Thanks for going the extra mile, or I really appreciate your greeting. I go to Walgreens for my prescriptions. Usually I just do the drive-through, and this one day I had to go in. And it cracks me up because there's somebody in the front that says, thanks for coming. Mm-hmm. And most people I watch and I go, that's so nice of you to say. And they were so startled, because probably 100 people had walked by, and it's okay. It's their job. I noticed, I feel very greeted when I walked in the door. So in your life in general, notice and compliment when people are doing something good, don't make it up. But there's people that are just doing their job, and it's their job, but how nice to appreciate that they're doing it, especially if it did something pleasant for you.
And the thing about it is if you start to look around and notice that there are people who deserve being complimented, again, your perspective will change. You'll start seeing that more often. It's like, as soon as you think, okay, where can I give compliments? You'll see opportunity after opportunity after opportunity if you just simply open up to it. And so again, it's a skill to practice, because then it becomes easier when you do go on dates to have this resource, this ability to give compliments that are now stringless, so to speak, that they're easy to give, and they can be given out easily and effortlessly, because that then makes you a much better person to be around, in the sense that your compliments are received and are simply sent as gifts without any strings. And that's one of those tools you can practice, one of the skills you can practice anywhere and everywhere.
So one of the things I do assume in my own little world is when I say something nice to somebody and I get such a positive response back, I go, I'm hoping I made their day a little better. And maybe whoever they go home to, they'll be in an even nicer mood, since I'm all about people getting along. I've just decided I have my own little world and I make it up, and I've decided that's what's happening. And it makes me feel really good, even if it's not happening.
But the thing is again, because we just give it because we have the ability and the joy to give. So it doesn't, quote in quotes, matter whether there's other people who are going to receive it beyond them or not. The wonderful thing is, what if we consider it's possible? What if we are giving because we know that somewhere along the line someone else is going to benefit from that? Not that we're doing it for a reason, again, no strings attached. But what if that's the bonus to what we do? That could be a whole new way of playing the game. I mean, that's a game of life that I recommend we all play.
I offer to pay it forward. I have no energy if it happened or not. It makes me feel good that I'm paying something forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learning to receive a compliment is probably even harder than learning how to give one sincerely. So when you learn to give them better, I found that people get a little less whingy about receiving them, because you see the joy that people get from you complimenting them about something. You see them feel good about it, whatever amount they can receive. So then maybe you're like, oh, well, I think I'd like that feeling, and maybe I could receive that feeling, and I'll be brave and listen to somebody who gives me a nice compliment and believe them and say thank you. Saying thank you is so important. To every time you get a compliment, please say thank you, no matter what.
And the thing I was going to say is, because I said earlier in the thing about when someone complimented, I would deflect it, or I would bounce it back. To actually stop and receive someone's compliment and just take it in and say thank you. I mean, you put your hand over your heart, or just simply just take it in, take a breath, without like jumping to, oh, but if you only knew me, or you're the same way too, or that sort of thing. The defensiveness we carry is sometimes so much of a way of blocking only our receiving of compliments. So, and I know we did talk a lot this whole show so far about giving compliments. So on the side of receiving, the understanding that to receive compliments, again, strings unattached, means that you don't have to do anything about it, and you're not supposed to do anything about it. You don't need to reciprocate. You don't need to say something back. You can say thank you, and that's all it requires, because really what it's about is, do you trust that the compliment you're receiving, you deserve, you can have it, it's valid for you? Because if it is, you've been seen, and that's awesome. So to be willing to let it in, to be willing to accept the good news about you from somebody else, is, for some people, it's a major growth step.
Such an important point, Barry. So if you're not feeling seen, in the world or in your relationships, this is something Barry and I can help you with, not only in the giving and receiving compliments part, even though that's valuable. There's so many ways that people don't feel seen, and we are very good at helping people feel seen and finding the ways to help other people actually really see you.
Yes.
And if that piques your interest, Barry and I would be so happy to work with you. So as I mentioned, you can sign up for a complimentary conversation with me through my website, clicking on the What's Holding You Back questionnaire. You can also send me an email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com. Also on my website, www.theperfectcatch.com, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can click on all my social media icons. It's Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube. And all of our wonderful podcasts are there, just a click away. You can binge Barry and I. You can also join my mailing list from the same place on my website. And you can also download my book. It's free. It has a bunch of dating advice. Would love you just to give me a review. That's the only payment I would like from you. And also, you're welcome to send me an email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com and tell people how to reach you, Barry.
Certainly. As mentioned in the break, right before the break, you can reach me on my website, which is barryselby.com. Also on my website, there are a few other things I can recommend. On the bottom of the homepage, you can click and join my email list, because I also send out a weekly email with the broadcast of the show, so you can get caught up on the shows if you miss any of them. So that's one thing you do right away as well. In the middle of the screen is the first of my 2 assessments, my quizzes that I created. The one in the middle of the screen, if you click on that, take the quiz, is my relationship readiness assessment. It's basically a chance for you to look at yourself and go, okay, am I ready for a relationship? What is it I need to know about? What didn't I do in the past? What's my strength? What's my weakness? Those sort of things. So if you go to barryselby.com/quiz, you can take that and really navigate where you are, and that will give you a chance to look at your own perspective, and then of course invite you to have a conversation with me as well. The second quiz, which is not actually a button you click, but you have to go directly, which is barryselby.com/self-quiz, as you may have guessed from the title, is your self-relationship assessment. And this is a much deeper quiz. It really is to ask you questions that navigate where your relationship with self is stronger, where it's weaker, where it can improve. This one also has a PDF download you can get when you take the quiz, because it gives you a lot more feedback and guidance and steps you can take. So either one of the quizzes I recommend highly, because they give you some really good reflections on where you are and where you want to go. Also on my website is my book, which I mentioned before. You can get my book on Amazon, but on my website, you can get to the book page there, which is barryselby.com/book. And on that page is, besides my book, and you can get it in different formats from PDF, Kindle and physical book, there's also a review of my book, as well as there are also testimonials there too. But there's also a review that was generated using artificial intelligence, because, everyone's using AI now. So if you want to listen to a very intelligent, artificial intelligence conversation between a man and woman, critical reviews on my book, go to my book page, and at the top there's a little video, an audio clip you can click on and play back the 12-minute or so replay of that conversation. Social media wise, did you want to give people your social media links? Did you want to do that? Okay, yep. Then I'll do mine. I must have missed that. I'll do mine as well. So if you want to find me on social media, just checking. My social media is my name except for Instagram and Threads, which is The Real Barry Selby. So you find me as Barry Selby on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, etc., on Blue Sky as well. And again, it's The Real Barry Selby on Instagram and Threads. And I think it's everything on my website.
So we're here every week live at 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern and all the times in between. And if you want to watch the replays, you can watch us on Roku and YouTube on your TV or any of your devices. But you can take us with you and listen, right, Barry?
Yes, this show is also a podcast. So if you want to listen to us without seeing our lovely faces, you can do that. if you're doing somewhere where you can't watch a screen, so you're going, driving, riding your bike, hiking, shopping, whatever you're doing, you can take us with you on your mobile device, because our podcast is up on Apple, Spotify, all the different podcast platforms, and you can binge all 220, 230 plus shows at your leisure.
And we'd love for you to share it with your friends who are having conversations and challenges about their dating and relationship life. Review, and be sure to make sure that you're sharing it with people, because we love getting the word out and having you all feel much smarter about all these dating and relationship subjects.
Absolutely.
So we'll be back next week with another fun subject.
We'll see you then, and take time to compliment each other.
Yeah.